Hey guys, Aaron Lucas with Trendify Realty. Welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here, make sure to subscribe. We talk about real estate market updates. We talk about buyer tips. We talk about seller tips, home design tips, all kind of things real estate related to make sure that you are staying informed. So today we're actually going to be talking about what's the most recent real estate market update right here in Marion County as well as Johnson County. So if you are in Greenwood, you're in Indianapolis, you're in Bargersville, Franklin, Whiteland, Southport area, Franklin Township area, we're going to cover all of the data to make sure that you are up to date on exactly what's going on. So the first thing that we're going to want to look at is going to be the median average sales price, or pretty much what did homes sell for when they actually closed. And I've got this broken up by counties. So you can see Marion County is going to be the dark blue. Johnson County is the lighter blue. So for Marion County, currently we are at $230,000 for the median sales price, which spiked a little bit from our previous month, $216,000 as of January, and then $230,000 for February. And for Johnson County, we had a slight spike as well, roughly $10,000. So it went from $290,000 up to $300,000. This is a little bit lower. You can see we had this spike here in Johnson County, and it measures up pretty well also with Marion County too. So 251 at that spike and 330,000 at that spike in the respective counties, Marion and Johnson. And that was right before those mortgage rates spiked up big time. We were at roughly 3.5% to 4% around the middle of the year last year. And then in November is when we hit that spike of around 7%. So we see that big drop off there. In the following months, we go from 330,000, 285,000. So roughly a $50,000 drop in that 4 to 5 month period. And the same thing with Marion County. Again, we were at 251, July 2022. And then we spiked down, this is that same time, November, there's December, 230. So roughly $20,000 on average for Marion County. So now that we know what homes are on average selling for once they're closed, the deal is done. Now we want to look at where are they starting at, or what is that original list price? Okay, so here we are with the median original list price. So again, Johnson County is going to be in the lighter blue, Greenwood, Whiteland, Franklin, any of the surrounding areas, Trafalgar, and then Marion County is going to be in the darker blue. So combined, you can see we're at 249,000, just shy of 250. From the prior period or the prior month, we're up roughly 0.5%, which was 248,000. And then from the same time last year, people are pricing their homes about 4.5% higher than they were this time last year. If we look at it individualized, so Johnson County, the most recent data we have is 325,000, and that had spiked up. December, winter months, people had dropped their prices right after those interest rates have come up. We've spiked up again, roughly $20,000 on average in Johnson County. If we look at Marion County, we're currently at $239,000 on average list price. Again, a spike here as well as people have come out of the winter months trying to get their homes sold or get things on the market. And then you can see these peaks here are, again, pretty indicative of what had gone on with the sales price as well. Obviously, if things were selling higher in that June, July, August time last year, they were probably listed higher. So for Johnson County, that spike was in May, which on average, it's going to take about 30 days to close a home. So 342,000 in May. We can see that obviously they're going to close in June and July, which was our average sales price. And then for Marion County, you can see here we're at 250,000, and that was in June. I believe the spike for Marion County was the highest month was July of 2022. So again, those all line up. You can see, especially, really both of them. Johnson County, that big spike started happening. It's that pre-COVID. Here we are. 220,000 was the original list price. Right when COVID hit, we had this big spike, this big climb. This is April of 2021. So this, in just that 1 year period, we went from 220,000 up to 300,000 there in July. So that's a, roughly 15, 16, 17 month period where it went up massively and then dipped down, another spike, and that's where our peak is. So now that we've looked at what did we actually originally list for and then what do we sell for, can we see that as a percentage? Let's jump in and look at that list price to sales price ratio. All right, so same thing as before. Dark blue is going to be Marion County. Light blue is going to be Johnson County. And these are going to overlap a little bit. So currently we're at 97.1% of the actual closed price compared to the list price. And you can see that's a massive drop. We got Marion County, we're sitting, kind of see, it won't let me draw a line, but 100% is right here. And we've been pretty much there since March of 2021 for both counties. Looks like Marion was 99.7 there in March, so just barely under. But people were able to list their price almost for whatever they wanted. And as long as it appraised, because that is a condition of the loan, they were pretty much able to get what they were asking because the inventory levels were so low and the demand from the buyers was so high with those interest rates being massively lower. So we look at this, we've been above 100% for the majority of that time. It looks like Marion County did drop down here January of 2022, but currently you can see we've had this steep spike. Marion County hit their peak almost 103% in May of last year. And we've dropped as those interest rates, right? 7th, 99.2% in August of 2022, 98.4, 97.6, right? So now we're actually 2.5% lower than we're listing the properties for. And that's because as those interest rates flushing out a large amount of buyers per price range, and those sellers still needing to sell their homes to get wherever they're going. So right when those interest rates spiked, you can see that drop off happen, and it's really slowed down. Marion County 95% as of January 2023 this year, 96% we'll say. But I mean, really, for every $100,000 right now, on average, a seller's only getting $96,000 of that 100 that they're asking for. So we did have a spike back up, but as of most recently, this is at 97.1%. So what does this mean as a seller if we're seeing those percentage of list received lower than what we're originally asking for? Well, if you're wanting to seriously move, it's very important that you price your home appropriately. Yes, there is less competition as far as inventory, but there's also less buyers. So that we're in this weird time, but if your home is overpriced, it is probably going to sit a little bit longer than it would, say, a year ago. So appropriately pricing your property, talking to a real estate agent that actually knows how to price property, knows the market, knows what's going on is super, super important. Now, it's definitely important to know it as a whole, but we can actually see here, we're looking at a price breakdown or a price distribution of the different price points, right? Because if you have a $750,000 home, that's going to be a lot different than someone who's selling a $200,000 home. So when we look at this on a breakdown of the price points, we can see, and again, same as before, light blue Johnson County, dark blue Marion County. For anything that is 50 to 100,000, they're getting a little bit lower, 91.3% in Marion County, 96.4% in Johnson County. And usually that's going to be because these are more investor type properties. So that might be why we're seeing some of those lower offers coming in, trying to capitalize. Can they make a profit on these type of properties? So that does take into consideration of the entire market as a whole, but that's not indicative of the market in your specific price point. So now if we look at 100 to 200,000, Marion County, we're at 97%. And Johnson County, we're at 98%. 200 to 300,000, Marion County, we're at 98.4. Johnson County, 97.4. 300 to 400, 98.3 for Marion, 98.2, so pretty equal there. Marion County, 98.2% in the $400,000 to $500,000 range. So, I mean, we're really pretty even across the board. Outside of, I would say, that $50,000 to $100,000 range, and then on the less than 50, I mean, we're not even looking at that unless you are an investor. They're getting about 60% of what they're actually asking for. So Most of those are going to be cash deals anyway. 600 to 700,000. Doesn't look like Johnson County had anything there. Probably no sales data there. And 750,000 to 1 million, 96 and 93 in Johnson County. And a million plus, Johnson County had no sales, and Marion County was at 94%. All right, so we have looked at what are prices on average selling for. Then we looked at what are they actually listing for. And then how do those two relate to each other as far as a percentage of the list price received. And then we also talked about how to properly price your home now that homes aren't selling for over list price with 55 offers and showings back to back to back to back over the next 3 days. So now that we've talked about all of those things, we've taken that into consideration. Next thing we're going to talk about is, as we're pricing it appropriately, how many days on average is it actually sitting? Let's take a look. Okay, so again, we're looking at a price distribution of the cumulative days on market, how long it's actually taking, broken down again by light blue Johnson County, dark blue Marion County, and the price points. So when we look at this, again, from 100 to 200,000, we're looking at roughly 23 days on the market. In Johnson County, we've got 6 days on the market, so it's moving super fast inside of Johnson County in that price range. Marion County, for 200 to 300,000, we're at 20. And for Johnson County, we're at 17. For 300 to 400,000, Marion County, we're at 25. Johnson County, we're at 45. So if you are in that $300,000 to $400,000 range, it's going to take about a month and a half to get your home sold. Marion County, 7 days from 400 to 500. And Johnson County is going to be 26 days, so about a month. So things are sitting inside of Johnson County for a little bit longer. 500 to 600, we're at roughly 2 months for Johnson County. Marion County, we're at a week. Marion County, 6 for 600 to 750,000. And Johnson County, we're at 15. 750 to 1 million. Marion County is going to be 22 days. Johnson County is going to be 7 days. And then Marion County, greater than 1 million, we're at 4 days. And Johnson County, we're at 113 days. So overall, Johnson County is taking a little bit longer to get things sold than Marion County. Now, Marion County is a much larger area than Johnson County. So when we think about things like Lawrence compared to downtown Indy, compared to Franklin Township or Southport, all of those are going to be a little bit more hyper local because Marion County is so big. So we need to take that into consideration as well, depending on where you live. If we look at it as a time series and looking at what's going on over the history of Marion County and Johnson County, we go all the way back. This is 2015 is some of the earliest data that we have. And that's, things in Marion County were sitting for 114 days. And let's go ahead and take off by county. Go breakout. All right, so if we look at the breakdown of this and we see the cumulative days on market, it does go back to 2015. I have this one on a yearly basis, so we can kind of see that. We can look at it by quarter here in just a second as well. But back in 2015, on average, we were looking at about 111 days. That shrank down. 86 days, 2017, 56, 55, 2021, right? This is when things are really heating up. 2021, 2022. On average, we're looking at 28 days on market. And then so far this year, we've actually spiked up to 56 days. And now this is going to be, that is combined for Johnson and Marion County. If we look at this on a base, here's Johnson County. So we are looking at 114 days back in 15. Our low point was 2022, 16 days to get a home sold in 2022. And now we've gone back up. It'll let me, here we go. 57 days for Johnson County and then 55 days for Marion County. So it's spiked up quite a bit. So it just reinforces that point of making sure that we're pricing our homes appropriately so that we can get them sold for the most amount of money in the least amount of time. And again, we'll look at the price distribution on the days on market. So outside of the $1 million range, it looks like the highest that we see is going to be Johnson County between that $300,000 to $400,000 range. So 56 days there in Johnson County for that price point. Marion County, respectively, is 33 days. So not quite half, but almost half the amount of time that it's taken the same property in Johnson County to sell. Across the board in other areas, looks like 100 to 200,000. Marion County is 28 days. Johnson County is going to be 11 days. 200 to 300,000. Marion County is 30. Johnson County is going to be 22. We already looked at the 300 to 400,000. Marion County is going to be 22 days for 400 to 500,000, and Johnson County is going to be 33 days. 500 to 600, 11 for Marion County, 24 days for Johnson County, 18 days for 600 to 750,000 in Marion County. Johnson County is going to be 19 days, and then Marion County is going to be 31 days for 750 to 1 million, and 5 days for Johnson County. So overall, we're looking at roughly 2 to 4 weeks in Johnson County outside of the $300,000 to $400,000 price range. So if you are in that price range, really look at your competition and say, how can I price my home appropriately compared to the competition, right? Not overall, but compared to my competition. How do I price it so that I get the offer and I'm not sitting 56 days compared to the house 2 neighborhoods over from me that is priced similarly, but maybe is a little bit more updated or a little bit outdated. Taking all of those things into consideration and really making a decision that's best for your specific property. So next I want to look at how many homes are actually selling as we look at this on a month-by-month basis. All right, so here we have closed sales, and if we're looking at just both of them together, we have 815 closed sales for this period, which is going to be up 32.5%, which was 615 from the prior month. So January, remember, we're back 1 month. We have to wait on the data to come in. So 615 home sales in January, and then we're at 815 in February. But when we look at this compared to February of 2022, we actually had 1,039 homes that closed, and that's up by 21.5%. Or you can say we're currently down by 21.5%. So let's look at this again, month by month basis. You can see it goes all the way back to 2015, and we're looking at Marion County is going to be this one on top. Johnson County is going to be the one on bottom, light blue, dark blue. And again, taking into consideration, there's going to be a lot more closed sales in Marion County because of the geographical size of Marion County compared to Johnson County. When we look at this, currently we're at 697 for Marion County, and that is a spike up from the prior month at 512. So more closings are happening. People are getting a little bit more confidence, but still a major decline from this spike we see here in August, which we had 1,250. July, we were right there, 1,240. June, we are at 1,329. So a lot more closings happening last spring, summer, and again, seasonality does go back into that. If that's something you are curious about, I do talk about that a little bit inside of this video over here. Make sure to watch that. However, the mortgage market rate, what's going on, also plays an impact in this. So big drop as of really the last 4 or 5 months as far as how many closings are actually happening. When we look at Johnson County, currently we are at 118 closings as of last month, 103 the previous month. So right there together, but still we see this drop off here. We had 180 as of December, 177. Looks like our highest spike was here in June of 2021 with 324. So big drop there as far as what's going on with the amount of closings actually happening. So we've talked about dollar amounts, we've talked about the sales price, we've talked about the original list price, how do those correlate to each other, we've looked at how many closings have actually happened. Now we need to look at how many new listings are actually coming on the market. Okay, so for Marion County, you guys are seeing this trend that there's been this big drop from late last summer to the beginning of this year. And it's true with our new listings as well. Inventory is down, quite a bit in that period. But when we're looking at this particular period, together we have 1,009 new listings that have come on the month in February, and that's going to be up 2.7% from January, which was 982. But is down almost 10% from February of 2022. Now, if we look at this on a county basis, we can see for Marion County, we had 848 for February, and then for the previous month, 821. So not a massive difference, but a little bit of a spike. And that is up quite a bit from December of 2022, which is normal. Christmas, holidays. Again, typically seasonality is going to play effect in the overall real estate market. So that's what we're seeing right now. So up, and again, there's that trend coming down. Now for Johnson County, we've got 161 last month, and it was actually even for January and February. So 161 for January, 161 for February. And again, if we look at this compared to last year, so here's 182 So again, we're down by about 20 listings compared to this time last year. Overall, you can see we've had some spikes, some dips, but this is definitely our lowest month here was December of 2022 is our lowest month of new listings that have actually came on the market as far back as this data goes, which is January of 2015. So we're definitely at a time where there's still not enough inventory in the marketplace. And again, as we've looked at some of the price distribution for some of the other stats that we've talked about, I think it's important to also look at that in this so that you can get an idea of what am I going to be competing against? How many homes in my price range are there on the market? Does it make sense for me? So with that, between 100 and 200,000 in Marion County, we have 266 new listings. For Johnson County, we had just 16. For 200 to 300,000, 278 listings in Marion County and 57 listings in Johnson County. 300 to 400,000, we've got 124 in Marion County and we've got 35 in Johnson County. And remember, this was our longest time on the market for Johnson County, with roughly 2 months for Johnson County. So we see there's been 35 new listings in that price range. So we see there's been 35 new listings in that price range. They're taking on average about 2 months to sell. 400 to 500,000, we have 400 to 500,000, we have 61 in Marion County, and then we've got 32 in Johnson County. 500 to 600, 19 in Marion, 10 in Johnson. 600 to 750, we've got 19 in Marion and 5 in Johnson. 750 to a million, we have 19 in Marion, 3 in Johnson, and then over 1 million, we have 13 in Marion, and there was 1 listed last month in Johnson County. So that was new listings that have just came on the market, brand new, haven't been trying to sell it. We actually want to look at what's the overall total inventory levels outside of just the new listings. So we can see here we're at 1,485 total homes for sale currently in Johnson and Marion County combined. When we look at that from the previous month, we're down 15%, which that total was 1,751. And when we look at the previous year, so February 2022, we have 130% more homes for sale than we did as of last year, which was just 644. So there are more homes that are sitting for longer on the market. So if we break this down again by our county specifically, for Marion County, we're at 1,254 of active inventory. And for Johnson County, we're at 231. That is down a little bit for Johnson County from January, which was 261 homes for sale. And for Marion County, we were at 1,490, so there are a little bit less homes for sale for buyers to actually pick from. Now again, let's look at our price distribution so we can see what's going on in each of these specific price points. So for 100 to 200,000, we've got 353 homes for sale in Marion County, and we've got 8 in Johnson County. For 200 to 300, we're at 355 homes for sale for Marion, 49 homes for sale in Johnson County. Marion County for 300 to 400,000, we've got 205 homes, and we've got 54 homes in Johnson County. For 400 to 500, we are at 103 homes, and for Johnson County, we are at 73 homes. Marion County, we are at 45 homes between 500 and 600,000, 20 homes for Johnson County. 600 to 750, we're at 30. Johnson, we are at 9. For 750 to 1 million, for Marion County, we have 29. For Johnson County, we have 4. And Marion County, for over 1 million, we have 27 homes for sale. And Johnson County, we have 12. So it is good to know how many new listings are happening, how many active homes are for sale, specifically in your price range where you would try to sell your home, but how much demand is there from buyers and how does that correlate with the inventory that's on the market? So let's take a look into what we call the absorption rate and see what's going on with the demand levels as well compared to the supply levels. So when we look at the absorption rate here, we can see that we have 1.8 months worth of inventory. So meaning if no other new listings came on the market, we would run out of homes in 1.8 months. So when we look at this over the historical period, you can see, it has spiked up. When we look at the crazy time of right as COVID started. Here's some of the low points, half a month. I mean, you're talking 1 to 3 weeks worth of inventory for really started November of 2020 all the way. We didn't hit 1 month until June of last year. And again, this is looking at that same trend for a lot of the other things, that when prices were coming down, there weren't as many closings that were happening, all correlated with that demand being pushed down from buyers because of those spiking mortgage rates. So you can see we start to see that it climbs up to our peak here was January of this year, where we hit just under 3 months for Marion County. And we do see that it's came down a little bit from the prior month, where we had 2.8 months worth of inventory overall, down 36% from January. But when we look at the change from the last year, we're up 194%, which was just 0.6 months worth of inventory, or about 2 weeks worth of inventory. So we do need to take the price distribution into consideration, because homes that are, for instance, Johnson County 500 to 600,000, it's sitting for about 10 months. So this is out of the data that we've looked at and the sample size that we're looking at, Johnson and Marion County, it is the hardest, or it's taking the longest amount of time, and then there's the most months supply of inventory in Johnson County for that $500,000 to $600,000 range on average, and we've got about 10 months worth of inventory there. So we look at Marion County, we've got 4.5 months. You can see this light blue right here, this bar is going to be where we want to be a stable market. So overall, you can see that inventory levels are still below where they need to be, but with buyers being a little bit more selective with their home choices and what they're able to actually afford because of the rising rates, we still have to price homes appropriately to get them sold. We look at this on a distribution for each county. You can see Marion County, month and a half for 50 to 100,000, half a month for Johnson County, 100 to 200,000, 1.7 for Marion County, 0.7 for Johnson County. Marion County, we're at 1.4 months worth of inventory for 200 to 300. We've got just about a month for Johnson County in that price range. 300 to 400,000, Marion County, we're at roughly 2 months. Johnson County, we're at 1.3 months. 400 to 500, we've got 3 months for Marion County. Johnson County, we've got 4.5 months. Again, we've already talked about that $500 to $6,000 price range. In the $600 to $750,000 price range in Marion County, we've got 2.1 months. $750,000 to $1 million, we've got 7.3 months for Marion County and 4 months for Johnson County. And then for the over $1 million, we've got 5.5 months worth of inventory for Marion County. So overall, again, a lot of these price distributions, we're sitting below the amount of inventory that we need, but with buyers being pickier, it is important to price it appropriately to make sure that we're not sitting on the market for a long time. All right, so now that we've looked at all of the important data that we need to, so that we get the full picture of what's going on here in Marion County, in Johnson County, Indianapolis, Greenwood, Bargersville, Franklin, Southport, Franklin Township, wherever you may be. Now let's talk about what is going on with the rates. I've mentioned that multiple times throughout the video today. It's affecting the inventory levels, buyers being pickier, affordability, list price to sales price. So what is the latest news on the mortgage rates? Let's take a look. All right, so we can see here I have the weekly national mortgage interest rate trends pulled up from Bankrate, and it's got all the way back to December, so we can kind of see what's going on. And remember, that's the time when a lot of that downward trend started to happen with everything we looked at today: closed sales, list price, sales price, absorption rate, a lot of that. So currently you can kind of see here on the right side, we've got 30-year fix is sitting at 7.13, 15 is sitting at 6.3, 10-year fixed at a 6.3 as well, and then a 5/1 ARM at 5.8. Again, those are color coded here, so you can kind of see that. For the majority of you, usually pulling out a 30-year fixed mortgage. Depending on your credit score is obviously going to play a factor in that as well. But December, here we are, we're sitting at 6.8. Again, this is on a weekly basis. We dip down here, 6.5 in December, 6.4, 6.3 in January. The third week of January, we're sitting at 6.3, and they've slowly crept back up to roughly 2 weeks ago. We're at 7.6, and then as of the most current one, we're at 7.13%. So many of you may be asking, why are they raising at such a rapid rate? And really, it's to fight that inflation. Here we see Federal Reserve raised rates at its February meeting, the central bank's 8th straight increase, although this time by just a quarter point, in its efforts to halt inflation, which began skyrocketing in mid-2021. As a result, mortgage interest rates doubled in 2022, peaking at 7% in November. Again, that's when that decline started to happen. You guys saw a lot of those stats. Inflation is starting to slow. Hopefully, they're predicting that mortgage rates should continue to come down. Greg McBride, CFA Bankrate's chief financial analyst, says, "I think we could be surprised at how much mortgage rates pull back this year." And according to the Mortgage Bankers Association, their forecast for the year, if we pull this up, we can see 30-year fixed rate mortgage, 2022, 2023, we're getting ready to start this quarter. They've been a little bit off. They were at 6.4% as quarter one was their forecast, 6.1% for the start of quarter two, 5.7%, and then ending this year at 5.3% is their projection. As we see inflation start to slow down, we should start to see those mortgage rates pull back as well. So it is still a great time to buy. Historically, if we look at the rates, this chart from MBA goes back to 2002. You can see we're at 7% in 2002. We dropped down. 2011, right after the 09 crisis, we see a dip down there to, that was roughly just under 4%. See it spike up again. Here's our COVID time. And then this is again where we had that spike. So it's not the highest that they've ever been. It's not the lowest they've ever been, but it's still a great time to buy if you are considering purchasing. Historically speaking, we're really about where we should be, where a normal rate is based on past data and past history. And if you're thinking about selling, take into consideration all the data we looked at today in conjunction with what's going on with the rates, especially if you're in some of those price points that are sitting a little bit longer and not getting that full list price. Remember, you're going to want to price it appropriately, look at your competition, and do what makes the most sense for you and your situation. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video and got some valuable information about what's going on here in the local Johnson County and Marion County real estate markets. If you have any questions, make sure to drop a comment down below. I'll reply to those as soon as possible, or you can reach out to me. All my contact information is down below as well. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel.